The Milwaukee Bucks are NBA champions. 105-98 as they win in Game 6. Giannis Antetokounmpo, NBA Finals MVP. 50 points from Giannis on 16 of 25 shooting. 17 of 19 from the free throw line. Also give him 5 blocks. Just an absolutely incredible performance. And I think we have to start with Giannis and just what he did in this series, because without a doubt, the Giannis slander has to end, right? That just goes without saying. But Giannis, the thing to remember here, right? Giannis went from his knee bending in the wrong direction, so he misses the end of the Eastern Conference Finals. There's talk maybe he'll be back for Game 3. Instead, he plays in Game 1. He puts up 20 points, 17 rebounds in that game. It's a loss. They lose big, but Giannis is there. He follows that up with 42 points, 12 rebounds in another loss, but he puts up a 40-piece. Then he comes back again for a back-to-back 40-piece. 41 points for Giannis, 13 rebounds, and they get on the winning circle and they don't turn back. That is just insanity to think that Giannis went in this series again where he's talking about his knee. We watched his knee bend in the wrong direction. And my guy went 20, 42, 41, 26, 32, 50 in the clincher. 50, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks. What? The Giannis slander just has to stop. Because there's going to be people that are going to bring asterisk talks and are going to talk about, oh, well, maybe they would have lost to the Nets if this person didn't play and that person didn't play and Trae Young got hurt and all these things. Listen, when you're dropping 50 pieces in the NBA Finals, there's nothing to be said. You can't take that away from someone. It doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter what happens after that. Because it's just an insane performance. And when you look at what Giannis did in this series, it was so incredible because of the mindset. Not only did he put up the crazy numbers, but the eye test of it all is the part that you also have to remember. Because Giannis came out in this series, and you got to remember the monster block that he had on the DeAndre Ayton alley-oop. A play that I don't even know how many other people in the world could make that play, because he's contesting the dribble drive and then the alley-oop gets tossed over his head. He turns, pivots, jumps, and makes the block. Again, absolute insanity. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before in my life. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. So then you have that play. So you have the crazy block, which we've never seen before. Then you have the play the next game where Holiday makes a steal. Giannis finishes the alley-oop. He has the mean mug into the camera, which is one of the most gangster things ever. Then follows that up with a 50-piece. I don't know. In recent memory, there's only a handful of people we've seen put up performances like this. And that's like the LeBron and Kyrie going back and forth. I mean, I don't even know if KD had a run like this. But in this series, Giannis went for 35 points, 13 rebounds. Okay? Pretty much 2 blocks. He shot 61% from the floor. And the other part is, I mentioned the post-game clips because Giannis is such a nice guy, such a good kid. That's the other side of it too that makes it so good and so fulfilling to watch that guy win a championship, because you see how hard he works. He's such a nice guy. He's such a good dude. Even as a Raptors fan, as someone who watches the Toronto Raptors, you don't mind seeing that guy win a game, win the championship, because you see the work. You see it. You understand it. You get it. And at the end of the day, all you can do is salute it. because Giannis put in that work and he continued to put in that work. And all you can do is tip your cap, salute to the Milwaukee Bucks for getting over the hump finally and figuring out a way to win. It's incredible to think about. It's incredible to see. It's an incredible thought to realize that the way that this season started, okay? I'm going to remind everyone how this season started, because all the talk was, is Giannis going to sign the Supermax? Is Giannis going to sign the Supermax? They make this trade for Drew Holiday. They give up a bunch of draft picks. Everyone makes fun of them because people who don't understand how basketball is played and how important defense is to winning basketball. But beyond that, they make the trade. They get Drew Holiday. Okay, cool. Then there's the moment where they have the trade fall through when they're supposed to get Bogdanović. Then everyone starts laughing at them, saying that they just blew it. Giannis isn't going to re-sign. All of these things. When, if you go back, check the tapes, we sat here on this pod and said, no, he's going to re-sign. You don't make that trade for Drew Holiday without Giannis at least okaying it. That's the first thing. So then there's still a bit of a delay before Giannis ends up actually signing, and people were actually out here crushing him for signing. Think about that. People were crushing Giannis for re-signing as if his team was going to be all of a sudden trash, as if he wasn't going to be a dude in a position where he's going to compete for the MVP, where he had teammates around him that have been through it before, and they weren't going to be in a position to have a good chance to win. And just look at how it all played out. That's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. Congrats to Giannis. Congrats to the Milwaukee Bucks and their whole team, because that's a guy that just puts in the work. And you love to see that. Hard work paying off, a good people's, having a good, just career, just a good mindset, just a positive mindset. The ever popular role model that people talk about all the time. Look at this guy, how happy he is, dancing to celebrate good times, right? You want to see that. And I just think that Giannis did the job. Drew Holiday did his job. What he said that Giannis tells them before every game, be a star in your role. That's incredible. And, a lot of talk about Mike Budenholzer. And hey, I was first one in line talking about Mike Budenholzer slander every year. Not being able to make adjustments, not being able to do anything. And now look, NBA champ. NBA champion. As Philip Lewis points out on Twitter, now Devin Booker has to fly 19 hours or whatever to Tokyo with Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. Does he go right from here? Nah. He has to get a day to go pack or something, right? I mean, yeah, that's a tough one. I'd love to know what that conversation would be like, right? Monty Williams, quote, "It hurts so badly. Suns head coach Monty Williams says as Kool and the Gang's celebration can be heard through the walls." Yeah, that's a tough one. Look at Giannis dancing. Look at the dance moves from Giannis. He can do whatever he wants. There's so many layers to all this. Again, the start of the season, the trade for getting Drew Holiday. Is Chris Middleton enough of a sidekick? Is Coach Bud a good enough of a coach? The Nets and all their moves and what ended up happening. And the Bucks became the forgotten team in the Eastern Conference. There's so much talk about, obviously, the Nets, rightfully so. There's so much talk because the Sixers and Joel Embiid was healthy for longer than he normally is. So much went on. And you look at it and you think the Bucks being the forgotten team, meanwhile, they had arguably one of the best players in the world. It's crazy. It's actually crazy to think about just how good of a season they had. And I spent the majority of this talking about Giannis, and rightfully so, because Giannis beasted. Giannis was the man. He did everything. And I keep saying it's not only about the numbers, it's about how he did it. It's a mindset that he was not going to be stopped. He was getting offensive rebounds. He was driving to the basket. He wasn't settling for layups. He was throwing down dunks. Giannis wanted the smoke. And you could tell that from early on in this game, that Giannis wanted the smoke. And he wasn't going to let them lose. He really wasn't. And you think about it, you look at the scenario of this game as well, where the Bucks are like, it's game 6. You're at home. You got to win this game. You got to win this game. So huge shouts to the Milwaukee Bucks. And as my guy Dunlop pops in the chat and says, we got to stop giving the owners these trophies first. I mean, nobody wants to hear what the owner has to say. Nobody. I bet not even the owner's family wants to hear what the owners have to say before we hear from Giannis. Right? I don't even get why that's a thing. I want one owner, and whoever this owner is going to be in all of professional sports, and that's obviously not hockey, which we know, as hockey fans will never let you forget that they have the best trophy presentation, which they do. No arguments here. But I want some owner from one of the other professional sports to get up to the podium, and when they're about to give them the trophy, to say, no. Don't talk to me. Talk to them. This isn't about me. This is about them. Is that too much to ask? Or is that just counter as to why someone has a sports team in the first place? Because that also could be it, right? But either way, yeah, got to stop giving the trophy to the owners. It's lame. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to see the owner. Nobody wants to hear what the owner has to say. And deep down, I think the owner knows that, right? Like, do you remember any speech by any owner? Like, even Mark Cuban, who's probably the most outspoken owner we've seen. I don't remember Mark Cuban's speech from when the Dallas Mavs won the championship. I really don't. Yeah, I don't know. Very interesting. But a couple things here. I got to give credit where credit is due to Chris Middleton, who hit big shot after big shot after big shot in these playoffs. He put in work. I got to give a lot of credit to Coach Bud, who Coach Bud, he made the adjustment eventually. He ran with Bobby Portis more than he did Brook Lopez, which is something we were calling for a very long time. Where were the Bobby Portis minutes? Because Bobby Portis didn't even play against the Nets. And you can't tell me now after you watch that Bobby Portis couldn't have been a factor against the Brooklyn Nets. I refuse to believe that. But when you really think about how crazy this is that the Milwaukee Bucks won the championship, what happens if Kevin Durant's toe is like an inch further behind the line? An inch further behind the line. And that's the margins of sports. That's what makes sports incredible. Because the margins are so slim. But what a great run by the Milwaukee Bucks. Credit to Giannis, who just put up a performance for the ages. Credit to the great job done by Chris Middleton, who got a lot of slander over the years from me, for sure. Coach Bud got a lot of slander from me and others, for sure. But they gave Giannis enough support that led to the championship. Then you add in the defense of Drew Holiday. And you guys can go back and it's on wax, and there's still going to be people that are going to bring up Drew Holiday's shooting numbers. And I get it. Drew Holiday's shooting numbers were terrible. They really were. You can't argue that. These are just the facts. But when you watch the game and you see how much Drew Holiday changed this game, when they changed the series, when they flipped it and put him on Chris Paul and completely changed the way in the aggressiveness that Chris Paul was playing with, Then on key possessions, they would switch him on to Booker, and Booker just struggled to get any shot off with Drew Holiday on him. That's when you look at it and you say, oh, okay. The reminder that I bring up all the time, right? Basketball is played at two ends of the floor, right? Both ends of the floor. That's something that doesn't get brought up a lot. It's something that people don't really mention or talk about a lot, but it's the reality. And so I look at that and I think Drew Holiday really, really, really was massive to what they did. Chris Middleton, massive, massive, massive to what they did. Because a home game, right? Giannis drops 50. A home game, you might get that 16 points from Bobby Portis, right? You might get that in a home game. But on the road in game 5, when they needed that win, that's when the big boys showed up. So credit to Middleton, credit to Drew Holiday. Great performance by both those guys to at least help Giannis. Middleton hits the shot he needed to hit at the end to ice it. But after going down 2-0 in the NBA Finals, the Bucks storm back to win 4 straight games and win the series, win the NBA championship. And it was really a team effort. If in game 6, the clincher, Bobby Portis finished with 16 points, in other games it was Pat Connaughton who stepped up and had a really good game. Remember, Brook Lopez had his game against the Atlanta Hawks. Like, it was a really good team performance from the Bucks. And it will deservedly get overshadowed by what Giannis did, because I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. But this team, the way that it was just put together, incredible. Incredible job by Giannis. Incredible job by the Milwaukee organization. Salute to their fans in the Deer District, even though you're just a ripoff of Jurassic Park. Still, you guys showed out. You guys deserve it. I like seeing good fan bases. You know, some of these markets where it's tough for you to win for whatever reason, but Giannis stayed. Giannis signed the bag, and they won an NBA championship. I'm not going to gloat in terms of, you know, all the people that were dissing the move of getting Drew Holiday. I'm not going to diss people for that. I might remind them of their take and ask them for receipts. When I tried to say, you might not understand how good Drew Holiday is unless you're really, really watching. And even still, if you watched, you're going to look at this game and be like, oh, he had 12 points. He was 4 of 19 from the floor. That's a horrible game. But when you watch and you pay attention to defense, you watch and you realize he had 11 assists in this game. You watch and you realize he had 9 rebounds in this game. Talk about it all the time. Talked about it for the Raptors fans that followed the pod with Kawhi Leonard. What do you do if your shot's not falling? Can you affect the game in other ways? And that's what Drew Holiday did. So I guess before I wrap, I'll quickly talk about the Phoenix Suns and what a run for them. The beauty of this series was the fact that whoever won, it was great storylines on both sides. Monty Williams and everything that he's been through. If you remember, his wife passed away in a car accident a few years back. And just everything that Monty Williams has been through to be back in this scenario. And he's with Chris Paul. And they're reunited again after the 1 year that they had back in the day together. Chris Paul finally getting to an NBA Finals. And he was banged up, as, of course, Chris Paul would be banged up because he's always banged up come playoff time. But they were close. They won 2 games in the NBA Finals. It was a good performance for Chris Paul. It was good to show, you know, the mid-range game came back and Chris Paul showing how valuable that was, how being a floor general and being a point guard, there's still room for that. He could still get his shot off in most instances. It was really great to see. Then also add in the fact of Devin Booker. I'm glad that he said, hey, stop comparing me to Kobe Bryant, because, like, just let Booker be Booker. It was good to see him ball out on the big stage. And he had some really, really good games. I don't know how this is going to play out in terms of will Chris Paul be back with them next season. I don't know. I mean, there is a world where it might not happen. He might be gone. He might end up in New York or something. But bottom line, it was cool to watch these Phoenix Suns. They got a really good young team, a lot of good young pieces. I think DeAndre Ayton struggled as Chris Paul struggled. Right? I think like DeAndre Ayton is good. He's good. But I think a lot of what we saw this season in this playoffs was, Chris Paul leading the charge. And that's not a knock on DeAndre Ayton because now it's showing what's possible. So there's no excuse for bad play anymore. So that part, I think if you're Monty Williams and the Suns organization, you look at that and you think that's a good thing. So tough loss for the Phoenix Suns. And I don't know when they'll be back because the West is very tough and obviously a lot of things for both of these teams to get to the finals, right? A lot of things had to go their way. But that's just how the NBA runs now. That's just what it is. Who can stay healthy? Who can take care of their body? Who can manage the minutes? Who can get through it? And in this instance, it was Giannis and the Bucks. And the crazy part is I can't get over the fact of how Giannis's knee looked. And he came back. Looking at this stat, it says tied for the most in finals clinching win in NBA history. Giannis is 50 points. Tied for the most points in a finals clinching win in NBA history. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Crazy. Second NBA title in franchise history for the Milwaukee Bucks. First since 1971, kids. Wow. Giannis is the first player with 50 points, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks in any playoff game since 1973-74. Yo, that's crazy. Just an all-time performance for Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Milwaukee Bucks are your NBA champs. I like to thank any and everyone who stopped by to hang out with us, whether you were listening on Twitch or watching on Twitch, which is On Blast Podcast, whether you're listening or watching on my Twitter, which is at Shell Alexander, whether you are listening or watching on our YouTube page, which is under Sheldon Alexander. Like and subscribe to the YouTube page. That's how you keep the train moving here on the On Blast Podcast. As mentioned, if you pop up on this video and you're looking around, you're like, wait, what happened to your set? Well, we got some renovations going on. But even with the renovations, I just wanted to make sure that we did get up here and make sure that we gave you some basketball content. So if you missed this pod, I'm going to take the end part and turn it into a pod and post that audio-wise. I'll do that so you have that to listen to in the morning in case you missed it. And if you stopped by and watched any part of this live watch party, or if it's something that you think you want us to do again during the Raptors season or something, let me know. Let me know. Lots of things floating around, possibilities of things we can do. So thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Again, the Milwaukee Bucks are NBA champions as they win 105-98. Again, 105-98. The Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo, your finals MVP. 50 points, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks. But as impressive as all that is it more impressive that he went 17 of 19 from the free throw line? Salute to Giannis and the Bucks. Just an incredible run, incredible performance. Thank you to everyone for tuning in to the On Blast podcast. I mean, we just decided to do this last minute just to talk some ball, have some NBA content for y'all. We'll be coming back with some more, maybe some NBA draft stuff. Definitely have a draft preview, maybe a draft recap. Something like that we'll be doing for sure. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much. And I say that because the messages from a bunch of people that popped in late on this pod that were saying, hey, missed the pod, where you been, hope everything's going all right. I appreciate that. I really, really do. And I thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for rocking with us here on the On Blast podcast. Like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Like and subscribe on the YouTube page. That's how you really support the network. If you really want to know how to support us, that's how you do it. Like and subscribe. More content on the way soon enough. But until next time, I used to pray for times like this to rhyme like this. This is the On Blast Podcast, part of the On Blast Podcast Network. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. As always, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, see ya.